Hello, Refine Co community. Marta Locklear here. I'm doing this video in anticipation of probably the most requested question, which is going to be what is the difference between Refine 3 from Refine 2 and Refine 1? So I'm going to show you the three collections together and compare them. Refine 3, our newest collection that we just launched today, is definitely different. It boasts deeper cyan greens, richer depth, and a completely new structure in the way we built the preset, so it functions a little differently, and this will be a good way to show you a comparison between the three. So let's just go ahead and get started with that. We're going to start with this beautiful image from Abbey Park, and I definitely picked some clean, all white images and images that have some green in them because the greens are a big part of what's different between this. So let's just take a look at the three collections. There's Refine 1, and you can see Refine 1 and Refine 3 are built similarly. Refine 1 and Refine 2 are built similarly. Refine 1 is based off of Fuji 400H film, a very soft pastel lifted shadow. We do have darker versions, but it's built off of a very light and airy. You know, it was one of our first collections we made and came from when everybody was shooting super light, bit overexposed and airy. Beautiful collection. It's nice to have in your toolbox for when you need a softer edit. I definitely love this collection. It's still my baby. Refine 2 was requested by our community to be a clean preset, so this is not based off of film. Instead, we stayed very true to color, enhanced the image without overdoing it. It's a very soft edit, and meaning by soft, light, like not a lot of heavy shifts or contrast, just not a lot of big changes. So what you shoot, this will enhance it, give you true to color profile, and it's just a beautiful collection, and has since launch has become our most popular collection to date. And then Refine 3, brand new. This is another community request. You guys loved Refine 2, felt it was not filmy enough because it's not a film preset. Refine 1 you felt was a little too filmy or a little too green, or didn't have enough depth to it, and so you were looking for film but clean. It's a bit of a challenge, but I think I've nailed it with this collection. I'm super happy. This collection boasts very deep, rich cyan greens, a little more depth around the subject, so it really just enhances that roundness and depth that we see with film. But worked really hard to get those filmy tones in the shadows, but keep the skin as clean as possible. I also built in 3 different colorways. They're very subtle from each other, mainly changing the skin tones to give you some flexibility with different clients, different lighting situations, color casts, tones that you're looking for, but it is based off of film with some film tools included. So let's just go ahead and get started and take a look. So Refine 1. One click, you can see super light and airy, ready to go out of the bat. Honestly, you wouldn't have to do much with this. You can see everything's pretty clean. There's a little bit of color shift in the shadows. It's very subtle, but we do get people saying it's too much. I think that mainly depends on your white balance you're shooting with, but it's a very soft preset. And even if we go in deeper, we can go in deeper. You can see it gets a little richer. But it's definitely a light lifted preset. So there's Refined 1. And then let's reset this. And I haven't adjusted white balance or anything. I think this is pretty straightforward. White balance, Refined 2 being our cleanest. You can see the shifts. We did work on the highlights. The greens are a little warmer, I guess, true to color to the greens that there were. You can see the skin is a bit richer. You can see right here the difference in that color shift. So that's what I'm talking about. So this is what people were saying was a little too green, and I do air quotes for that because that's just the comment we got the most, but that is very much like film. Film has that color shift in the shadows. If you study anybody's film work out there that you follow and you really study the shadows, you're going to see those tones in the shadows of the film. You see the color shift here. So this is your true to color, just a little enhanced. Let me go ahead and do a copy of this. I'm going to reset real quick so you can see the comparison. There's the before and after of Refine 2. So it's just the same image, just enhanced. Let's go back and go back to Refine 1 on this just because I want to show you the side by side. There we go. And then same thing. This one has different strengths to it that you can add And of course the black and whites, but I'm not going to go into that on this. You guys focus mainly on the color profiles and presets, so I'm just going to focus on that. So then Refine 3 is right here, and this one's built a little differently. If I show you, let's go back to Refine 2 real quick. This is built like a true preset where the tone curve moves, the HSL sliders move. You know, there's just a lot of function. You can see that everything here is moved. It's built like a traditional preset. Refine 3 we built with a color profile in a preset form. So we've seen people calling these pro sets, a little bit of everything, but we really just dove deep into the profile and created that for you and gave you a more flexible edit. So off the bat, Refine 1 looks a little heavy maybe. And that's so we could give you that depth that you were craving. Everybody wanted deep, rich greens. They wanted depth, and they wanted a little more saturation to the colors. And what you can see is right here, as soon as I start lifting up this exposure a little, they almost have, let me see if I can knock this down just a bit for you guys. So when I zoom in, there's just a roundness to them. We worked really hard on the luminosity of the skin, giving that round depth around the subject. So it just really almost gives them a three-dimensional look, which is something that we would see in film. Look at these greens back here, deep and rich. That's what you guys wanted. Again, worked hard on the highlights. As I lifted the exposure on this, that pulled back, but you can just do this. You can do that, or you can use one of our tools down here, which would be to bring the highlights down, and you gain that sky back there as well. So another thing with this, and I'm going to zoom in again, is of course with the preset you can use the intensity slider, but this slides everything. Instead, we decided to go the profile route with this as far as building the color part of the profile here, because then you're just pushing the colors. So as I increase this, you can see it just gives even more depth. So if you have a flat image, you R5 and R6 shooters, I'm talking to you, and you need a little more life to your image, that actually, I think this might be, nope, this is an icon. But this gives you even more depth and push, and you can see how it really just gives you even more. Or if you need less, say you have a super saturated heavy image and you need to back it off a little, you can do that right here and still keep those beautiful tones in your image. So we really like that and the way that works. So that is this image with 3 compared. Another thing we added with this collection, because we wanted it based off of film but still keeping it clean, is we added some filmic tools so you can push it even further to a film look. So let me get this back to 100. I'm going to pop this to the left, and let's go ahead and push it a little just for fun. We have film texture. It's very subtle. You might not notice it on video, but it just takes a little bit of the digital edge off, softens things, and puts a little bit of it's not grain, it's called texture. It looks similar to grain, but it just gives that natural film look. And then if we don't use film texture, soft film. This is for you guys that were looking for kind of the refined 1 look, I would say, a little more of a lifted shadow, less contrast, but still maintaining the refined 3 tones and colors. That gives that to you there. So those are things that we don't have in the other collections that are built into this collection, which makes it even more different. Let's move on to another image. Beautiful baby, white balance, exposure, all looks great. It's a little hot in the belly area, just where the light's hitting here strong, but the preset should take care of that. Let's start with Refine 1. Again, I would want to back this down just a little. And I'm just going to pop this over here. I just want to see you guys to see the tones off the bat out of these 3 collections. There's Refine 2, very straightforward. Here's that green tone, that filmic greens. You can see it here. It's got a light cream in the highlights. This is true white, and you can see here the difference between the tones. Same thing with the baby. You can see there's definitely a nice creamy highlight in the skin where this is true to color and clean. So out of the bat, that's the difference between the 2. I would say overall the function is similar. Refine 2 didn't need to be pulled down. Refine 1 was built to be a little more of an overexposed, lighter preset, but that's the difference between those out of the door. Let me go ahead and reset this, and let's take a look at 3 right here. And I'm going to stick with the first preset on these. If you want to see this entire collection in almost an hour of in-depth detail, head over to our Refine 3 edit video and check that out where you can see me work with all three. But I just want to show you the main one compared. So I'm going to lift a little on this and you can immediately see the depth and difference. Look at how dark the hair is. But again, that's to give you that nice, rich, deep tones. Skin is definitely more saturated. We have a little bit of grain built into this. You can undo it, of course. And but we kept it pretty clean. I would say this is pretty darn clean in the skin and in the highlights, but you still have those nice, see that cyan green tones in the shadows without muddying up the rest of the shadows. So that was hard to get this, and then keeping this clean, that was a real challenge. But I was able to do it, and I'm super, super proud of that. Again, you can just do all kinds of things. You can do backlit to soften things up. You can add in contrast if you want some more. You can add in a little more color punch. You can pull some out if you've seen too much, say for a baby like this, if the skin feels a little warm, you can do that. It just knocks a little bit of that color punch out. But that's the difference between that. So let's take a look at this one. And my computer is waking up still. There we go. Let's see what auto does for this. Let's clean it a little too much. A little too much. We want somewhere in here. All right. So I like to stay on the same white balance with them. So let's go back to Refine 1. And now my computer wants to be super slow. Appreciate that. I've been putting it through the ringer this week. So there's Refine 1 off the bat. Let's do undo preset so we don't have to change the white balance. There we go. Refine 2. Big difference. So you can see we have a little bit of that cyan green here, but it's light. It's not as heavy as Refine 3. And Refine 2 is a little cleaner. And I think I put a little bit of shift in it, but you can see a big difference in the skin. Refined 1 has that beautiful creamy skin tones and a little bit of that green shift in the shadows. And you can see this is pretty straightforward and clean here in Refine 2. Hair colors exactly as shot, just a lighter and a little more enhanced. And then let's take a look at Refined 3. So undo, and let's do one more. And wake up, computer. And it's going to darken it, but again, that's how it does to increase that depth. And then as soon as we lift up that exposure, you can see the difference there. So this I would probably warm up just a touch maybe, just so we get a little bit of that golden sun. You know, I adjusted the white balance before seeing the preset. Big difference between Refine 1. So for anybody to say these look alike, they do not. Colors are different. Everything's different. Here's that deep cyan greens that you guys were wanted. You wanted that deep depth that we see in film. While maintaining the nice curve going into the lighter greens as well. So that was another big challenge, but I am so happy with how it turned out. Pinks are enhanced. That's something that we see in film. Just enough shadow tones to give that filmic look in here. But I think overall it looks amazing. If you feel like it's a little magenta, maybe your camera shoots that way, you can just knock a little of this magenta out. Look at that. That immediately took that little bit of magenta out of there and just neutralize the skin perfectly by still keeping those pinks. She's got great skin tone and tan still. Super happy with it. I love both. They're just very different styles, but all in that same filmic genre. Last one to show the comparison. And let's go back up to Refine 3. Come on. Oh my gosh, my computer. Oh, I think I beat it up building this collection, guys. And she's being super slow this morning. Okay, there we go. So Refine 3, I am going to lift the exposure just a smidge on this so we can really see the difference. Let's pop that over there. Undo preset. Refine 2. Okay, so here's a big difference in Refine 2. Whites and blacks. That's one reason I picked this photo, because that was something that people really wanted. We're going to have to lift the blacks a little on this, so I'm going to lift right here from the shadows just so we can see his suit. But you guys wanted true whites and true blacks. That's what we gave you with Refine 2. There's 0 color shift, so what you shot is what you get. It's just enhanced. But you can see the whites are white in comparison to Refined 1, and the blacks are black in comparison. This has a little more of that film tone here, and this does not. So for this case, I'm going to pop this over here to the left. So we have the clean version on the left now, and I'm going to reset, and let's take a look at Refine 3. And we may have to push the exposure on this a little, just a little actually, not much. But you can see nice deep depth. I want to lift these shadows just like I did with Refine 2. And there we go. Okay, get my computer to catch up. And again, so this time we have a clean back, rather clean. You can see there's a little more of that blue in the shadow tones here. But look back here in the shadows at the difference is. So this has that pushed deep filmic cyan shadows. The green here, much heavier, much more cyan. Skin tone, a little richer, a little deeper than Refine 2. A little more push on the pinks, but the whites are still pretty white. I mean, they're not as creamy as Refine 3, not as true as Refine 2, because obviously this is film based, but overall it's a pretty darn clean edit while still giving you a little more depth, a little more wrap, and a little more of that film tone that you guys love so much. But that's a comparison between Refine 1, Refine 2, and Refine 3. I am super happy with all three collections. I think they're all great to have in your toolbox for different scenarios, different shooting environments, different projects. And I hope this video helps you guys see the difference. And thank you for being a part of the Refine Co community. And talk to you soon.